Welcome to the Sellernomics podcast, where we share valuable tips and information in the Amazon and e-commerce space. Each week, we deliver the best interviews with some of the top Amazon personalities in the industry to help you grow your business. Today's episode is brought to you by GETIDA, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at getida.com/Sellernomics. And now, here are your hosts, Rob Stanley and Lisa Kinski.
Oh, what is happening here? I messed up.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Welcome
everybody.
to the podcast.
Welcome to today's
ahead,
episode
Lisa.
of Sellernomics. My name is Lisa Kinski. I'm joined by my co-host, Rob Stanley. I mean, they all can't be winners, right, Rob? I got to mess up, once. Glad it took me
We
this
always
long,
do.
though. Awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. If you're wondering what that whole kerfuffle was and you're not watching on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. So today I have a very exciting episode for you guys. This is a tool that I personally am really excited to learn about and a service that's been really needed in the industry. I get this question a lot from sellers at shows, and our customer service team gets it a lot at GETIDA. So I'm very excited to welcome to the show you guys Shane Barker with TraceFuse, and we're going to be talking about optimizing Amazon reviews and some white hat techniques. So Shane, how are you?
I'm doing awesome, guys. I'm doing awesome. How are you guys doing?
Doing very
Doing great.
wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. So Shane, tell us, let's just jump straight into it. Tell us about some of the challenges that Amazon sellers face when it comes to negative reviews.
I mean, how much time do we have? I mean, there's
Got a while.
so many
Go for it.
things. Yeah. I mean, if we might have to make this a 2-hour episode. Yeah. I mean, what we all know as sellers on Amazon, it's like there's a lot of things that, a lot of issues that when it comes to selling on Amazon. Amazon's an amazing platform. I think we can all agree that there. But, some of the issues are like, when you getting attacked or things are happening on Amazon, and Amazon just doesn't have the bandwidth to be able to respond to that type of stuff. So I think as a seller, some of the biggest challenges are just getting Amazon to respond, right? Being able to get around that gate and tell them, hey, listen, this, I'm either being attacked or I've got people that are leaving reviews that are against Amazon's terms of service. And that's obviously what we specialize in, right? We specialize in being able to get Amazon to react, being able to get them to realize, and it's all data-driven stuff that obviously we'll talk about here a little further. But our big thing is data. So we want to make sure that, we don't go to Amazon and say, hey, Amazon, look into this. We say, hey, Amazon, here goes all of the information, right? Here goes all the information that you need to make a great decision to be able to remove the review. So as a seller, unfortunately, I talked to a seller, this was a few months ago, and he had a great analogy. He's like, the review thing, the negative reviews, the 1, 2s, and 3 stars, and the critical reviews, he goes, it was like a rock in my sandal that I couldn't remove. It's like I can still walk on it, right? And it's okay, and I'm not, bleeding out by any means, but it's just something that's there. And so when we talk to sellers and say, hey, we can help you remove negative reviews, the first thing we get is a side eye, because people look at us like, that's not possible. That's black hat. That's all this funny stuff. And then obviously we get an opportunity to be able to show them what we can do and how we file cases and how we do things differently. We're very unique in the industry in the sense that we don't have any competition. So once again, after we get past the side eye of sellers and saying, hey, this isn't possible, Amazon's not going to respond to you. Once they start seeing some reviews being removed, all white hat and 100% ethical, then we start to get, a situation where like, okay, there is possibility of me taking this rock out of my sandal or my slipper to make it so that, this is something that, if I'm being attacked or if something's happening, that once again, we can take care and rectify the situation.
And are we talking specifically about product reviews or seller reviews? Because there's a difference between the two types, right? Can you talk to us about the difference and how a negative review in each kind of column or each bucket impacts sellers?
Yeah, absolutely. So really all of our stuff is all product reviews, right? What we're doing is we're going and telling Amazon it's in violation of their terms of service. So there's nothing we can do with ratings or anything like that, right? I mean, somebody can give you a rating and there's really nothing we can violate there, right? There's nothing we can go to Amazon and say, hey, there's an issue here. Now, on the other side of it, the reviews, actually somebody leaving a review, that is something that we can go after, right? Because there's something that was there. There's something that's potentially in violation of Amazon's terms of service. Another thing that we can do that, we kind of talk about this is when we have reviews that come in that seem legit, there's ways for us to be able to figure out if they're legit or not. And I'll give you an example of that. So let's say somebody comes and they, you get all these reviews that come in and you look at them and in theory, they don't look like they're against Amazon's terms of service, right? Okay, great. What we look at is actual buyer's accounts. So what we do is we do a thing called, it's kind of like a RICO case. I joke around about this, like they did this with the mob, right? They got like Giuseppe and Guido, and what they do is they tie them all into a federal case, right? Different people from different areas. So what we actually do is we look at buyer's accounts, and I'll give you an example of that. So let's say there's 3 buyer's accounts, and what people do, unfortunately, is they'll go and they'll get buyer's accounts, and they'll come and buy your product and give you a 1-star review, right? Which is disheartening and sucks, and it's a terrible way to do business. It's not ethical, but unfortunately it happens. And so what we do is we go to Amazon and say, hey, Amazon, we looked at these 3 buyer's accounts. There's 3 reviews here that they all wrote were exactly the same. So I'll give you an example of that. They wrote, this is the absolute worst product in the world with 3 exclamation marks. Well, what's the likelihood that all 3 of these buyers wrote the exact same thing, right? So it's 0 likelihood, right? There's really no way. If they put bad product, maybe, right? Because it's only 2 words. But if it's 8 or 9 words with 4 exclamation marks, that doesn't make sense, right? There's no way that you had 3 buyers write that exact same thing. So we look at anomalies in the data. What we do is we look at black hat tactics, and we look at how we reverse engineer that and to be able to educate Amazon on what's going on. So in that situation, even though the review isn't in violation of Amazon's terms of service, it's still a review that we can get removed because we're actually going to get the whole buyer's account removed, right? So that can look legit, but it's not legit because once again, these people that have these accounts get very lazy, and they give my clients or any of our clients a 1-star review, and on the other side of it, they give themselves a 5-star review. So when we remove those buyer's accounts, guess what happens? Our clients lose the 1-star reviews, and the person that probably owns the account is losing their 5-star review. So that's where things get interesting. There's certain things where people look at and say, there's no way you can remove those reviews. We have techniques and strategies. And once again, this is all done by Amazon. There's no funny stuff on our side. Like literally what we're doing is just filing amazing cases and giving Amazon all the data they need to be able to make a good decision. So that's kind of the differentiator on anybody else out there that's doing anything, once again, fully white hat.
Yeah, I love that. So Shane, a quick question for you. If there is a legitimate negative review or 1-star review for your product, should Amazon sellers be replying to those? I've seen, for instance, where maybe it was an old version and now you're selling the version 2.0 of this and you fixed a previous issue. Should you go back maybe to some of these older ones that left a 1-star review and say, hey, we have a new 2.0 version of XYZ that's, addressed that issue? Is that something they should be doing?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is we all iterate, right? I mean, there's times where you have to improve products and things that are going on there. So what we would recommend is, what we're looking for, once again, is people that are in violation of Amazon's terms of service. If it is a legit review and it was an old product, there's not always an opportunity for us to be able to remove that, right? I mean, it really needs to be in violation of Amazon's terms of service. Now, once again, because of the data that we have, we do look at all the angles. Just because they wrote a review doesn't mean it's a legit review. If there's ways to figure out that, once again, it's a sock puppet account, or it's a fake account, we're obviously looking at all angles, right? Our goal is to remove that review. Now, I have had clients or potential clients that we've talked to, if you just have a bad product, we had a company, a bigger company, I won't say what the name is, but that came to us and said, hey, we really want to, get rid of these reviews. And we looked at them, and a lot of the reviews were exactly the same. Pictures of the products, they seemed legit reviews. And I said, well, is there a problem with this? Is there a problem with this product? And they said, yeah, we've had a lot of problems, and it was toxic. And I go, well, then I'm not going to remove the reviews because then it's toxic. Like it doesn't, right? Like you're in clear violation. Like you shouldn't have the product. And they go, well, the new product isn't going to be toxic, but we really need to get rid of this inventory. And I said, well, that's not going to work for me. Like I'm not using this to just fool people and to go in and take down reviews that are legit. So in that situation, obviously I was like, you're not a client that we can work together with. I'll just be honest, because I don't, there's ethics behind this as well, right? Like you got a bad product and it potentially can harm the public. I'm not going to help you clean that up because you obviously have a problem there, and you got to break it off and do something different than what you're currently doing. But I from an ethical standpoint, it needs to, once again, be in violation of Amazon's terms of service. If it's just a bad product, then guess what? It's a bad product, but there's not much we can do there.
Yeah. You brought up an interesting point, and I wanted to kind of ask this. Is there a time frame on how far you could go back to remove a review, even if it's black hat and you're going after it, and you can say, hey, this is bad and here's XYZ's reasons why, but is there a time frame on that, on how far you can go back?
There's not. The minute you start selling on that ASIN, we can go back to day one if you got hit with any bad reviews. So there's really no timeline on when we can remove it. The goal being, once again, it needs to be in violation of Amazon's terms of service. So if they violated, they cussed or talked about competition or pricing in that first day of you selling, then that's something we can go remove.
Got it.
And when you say talked about competition, that's interesting. Like obviously like cursing and, you know, some things come to mind where it's like, well, duh, that's against their terms of service. But when you talk about talking about competition, that's interesting to me because I've seen reviews before where it's like, you know, I bought this product to replace my old, you know, I bought the iPhone to replace my Android. I don't know. And ended up hating the iPhone, blah, blah, blah. So I went back to my Android. It was such a better experience for me. Where does that fall in, you know, a pro or I guess within or out of terms of service?
Yeah, you can't mention a competitor in a review, right? Even if it is a legit review and it's you're mentioning it ethically, because I mean that's your example sounds like they're just mentioning it, right? This isn't like a ploy for, you know, Android to or iPhone to be able to get more clients because of that. So you can't mention competitors, and so that is something that we have a very high certainty or probability to get removed because once again it's in clear violation of Amazon's terms of service. So the terms of service is the key to everything. Where things can really get interesting is that when we have that data in the buyer's accounts, where we can go after, you know, we had with one of our clients, we were able to remove 177 one-star reviews in one day for him because we filed an escalation case. We said, hey, there's clear collusion going on here. There's all these buyer's accounts that are going after our client, and our client, you know, had a little bit of a bill there, right, but was also super excited because he lost all of his 1 stars and his competitor lost all their 5 stars. They shot up in the BSR. And he's in the supplement space, so he was okay. He paid the bill, and within I think 3 or 4 days, he was cash flowing on the investment of working with us.
Sure. What that's so interesting. What are some of the other misconceptions you had mentioned before? Like, you know, the seller wanted to just remove it because they had a toxic product. They just wanted to get it gone because they didn't like it. What are some of the other misconceptions that sellers have about removing negative reviews?
Well, the first and the biggest one is that it can't be done, right? I mean, that's always the first things people go, hey, this isn't possible. Second, that you can't do it and Amazon won't respond or be the one removing the reviews. We've put a lot of those to sleep. You know, now people are seeing it. In the beginning, once again, they sign up with us. What most people do in the beginning, they would start us off with a smaller account, one that's maybe a little more flexible if something happened to it, but a little worried about the service. Great. After they start seeing the reviews being melted off, then they start giving us some of the bigger ASINs and, you know, bigger products and stuff like that. So the biggest misconception is that it can't be done, but there's no way that's possibly going to be done, and that Amazon won't respond, and Amazon is not going to be removing the reviews. I would tell you, we've been working on this for 5 years. We are not an overnight success. We filed probably at least 10,000 cases and got almost zero results. It was not easy to do, as anybody knows. I mean, it can be in clear violation of Amazon's terms of service. So that doesn't mean they're going to remove it. We have our data is our main thing and our methodology. It's really how we file, where we file, and really the templates that we use, but the templates that we use are constantly changing, right? Because Amazon can change their policy and have a meeting and us not know about it, but because it's AI driven, we feed the wins and the failures to the AI, and then it begins to tell us, hey, you know what, this template used to work all the time, and now it doesn't work. So we're going to have to create something different. So before it was like, we have a feeling, we're not really sure, we're kind of looking at things. Now we have, you know, it's all machine learning and AI behind the software that really we're feeding the machines, and the data is only getting better and better. Our, you know, removal rate is only getting higher and higher. We have about a 5 to 15% removal rate at this point. So we file 100 cases, anywhere from 5 to 15 reviews can be removed. Sometimes they go even higher than that 15%. That would be if we see, you know, buyers accounts that we're able to do an escalation case. At that point, you can see 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 potential reviews that are being removed because of the collusion that's going on there. You're being attacked. So once again, we have that 10% is about the average, but it can go higher than that as well, just depending on how badly you're being attacked or what's going on there.
Yeah.
Incredible. Let's take a quick break, you guys. We're going to hear a message from our sponsor. But when we come back, I want to dive a little bit deeper into the data and the analytics of the removal of negative reviews. So we'll be back in just a second.
Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at GETIDA.com/Sellernomics.
Y'all be sure to head over to GETIDA.com/Sellernomics for the first 400 in FBA reimbursements free. We are back with Shane Barker with Trace Fuse talking about removing negative reviews the white hat way. So Shane, you had just mentioned before the break, current success rate through trace views is anywhere between 5 to 15%, unless of course there's escalation clauses and, some extraneous circumstances. What is the average success rate of an individual seller submitting for these reviews to be removed on their own? Like if it's 5 to 15% with trace views, what does a seller experience on their own? Do you have any data on that?
Yeah, because I've talked to hundreds, if not thousands, of sellers. Yeah, I would be shocked if they were able to do 1%. Like that would be a win. Well, not a win in for what they think, but a win in the sense that I've talked to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sellers, and what happens is they file cases, nothing happens, and then you go, okay, I just got to put my efforts into something else. Mm-hmm. So usually the success rate is very, very, very low. There's a methodology, once again, on how we do things and on how we file. Most of the time, Amazon isn't going to respond to the first case that you file, and we have techniques for that and things that we do, and that I think that make us very unique in the space. But the most I've ever heard, I did have one seller that he was at 3%. And then when we started talking, he's like, maybe it's closer to 2. And his numbers started to dwindle a little bit when he saw that we were legit and obviously removing reviews. But it's extremely hard. Let's put it this way. If Amazon had the bandwidth and was able to respond to everybody, we wouldn't have a business. We just wouldn't, for the most part, right? I mean, that's what we're doing is we realize that when Amazon doesn't respond and when things are happening there in your account and it's very blatant, like how do we get Amazon to respond? Amazon, has so much bandwidth and and this is not maybe the highest priority thing for them, but the goal for us is to work with Amazon in the sense that we're filing these cases, we're giving them all the data. Like I'll give you a little analogy. So let's say somebody breaks into your car, right? And if you're listening here in the US, if somebody breaks into your car, I'm not going to call the police department. We're not going to come out and bring the helicopter and bring out 9 units and do a full investigation and try to find out who stole my iPhone, right? That's just not going to happen. But if I went to the local police department and I said, hey, here goes a picture of the guy, here goes the ring footage, here goes his fingerprints, here goes the gloves that he used, here goes him actually breaking my window, and I was able to find him on searchpeople.com, and here goes his address. Like, what else do the detectives need to do? At that point, I'm giving them all the information. Now what they do is they can look at this, literally in 5 or 10 minutes, can make an educated decision whether they want to go pick this person up. Now, are they going to go pick him up for, fraud charges on, stealing my iPhone? Probably not. But my point is with Amazon, we don't go, hey, Amazon, go look into this, because they're not going to do that. We give them all the information and say, hey, here goes all the information, data driven, which means it's not opinions, not us going, we feel like, we potentially think that. This is like, hey, we are clearly being attacked because historically we've received 1 star a day, and now we're receiving 10 stars a day. And when we look at the buyer's accounts, why would Bob the buyer come and buy 10 products from us and give us 1-star reviews? Like, from a humanistic standpoint, that's not how we buy things. Like, right? If you hate something, and you give it a 1 star, do you buy another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one? Like, no, we don't. That just doesn't happen. So that's what we do is we look at data and go, okay, what is not right about this, right? What is when we're staring at this, looking at this, how can we educate Amazon on what's going on? And because we knew about a lot of the black hat tactics that people were using, we've reverse engineered those to educate Amazon, to give them all the data they need to be able to make the right decisions. So that's kind of the differentiator. But it's been a long 5 years. I would tell you, for about 3 years, we filed a lot of cases, and I was like, I think I've invested in the wrong. I should get into boxing or something, or fighting wild cougars or something. Would be probably maybe a higher success rate than removing reviews. But in the last 2 years, that's when things really, really have heated up, and we've seen some amazing successes for aggregators and top sellers. It's been awesome.
Yeah. And I'm curious too. What's the, because like you said, and in our business too, right? It depends on how much information you give Amazon, how quickly you respond to their questions, and do you have that proof of purchase or proof of, delivery? And if you're giving them all the info up front, what's the average response or resolution time from opening that claim to the review being removed, if there is one? Like you said, if they had the bandwidth to responding to these all day long, it would be much faster, right? But on average, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it really depends. And sometimes it could depend on the category, but really, we've had responses within an hour or so when we started filing. Sometimes it can take 2 or 3 days. depending on if we're doing Seller Central, Vendor Central, brand registry, there's obviously a lot of different departments that we can file with. It's hard to say that Vendor Central is an average of 12 hours and 13 minutes, but historically within a few days, if we don't hear anything from them, we're filing another case, right? We're sending them an update because we know it's going to probably take 2 or 3 tries. Amazon usually doesn't respond on the first try. So our first try is I say a warning shot, but it's really education. Hey, this is what we've got. This is what we got going on. And there's a strategy to each department we file with as well. So we say, hey, brand registry, I say template, but the email, the message that we're going to be sending them is going to be very different when we send to Seller Central. So everything's very customized, and that's constantly evolving because Amazon's constantly evolving, right? I think that's the only thing that we know is that, I always joke around as like the only consistent thing with Amazon is change, right? Things are always changing there because they're a huge company and we have to expect that. So we look at the AI tells us, hey, what's working, what's not working, and that's helps us with our certainty or our probability of getting cases or getting reviews removed.
Yeah, Shane, you mentioned something about submitting it a few times. Is there a limit? Like if somebody goes in individually and submits to try to get a review removed and maybe didn't do such a good job at it, and then you came in and you guys are like, no, you should have did it this way, but maybe it got bounced back again. Like, is there sort of a limit? Because I know with like refunds, we'll submit it and you get a few chances, but there's also a limit, right? Like you can't just keep hammering Amazon's door and say, hey, do this for a refund. Is that kind of the same thing apply when it comes to reviews?
It does. You don't, I mean, the thing is, you're shooting your shot. So you gotta, the problem is a lot of sellers that we worked with, and this is just what it is have already filed cases and not filing them the right way. So what happens is you start to lose some credibility with Amazon, right? When you're just filing cases, you're saying, hey, Amazon, go look into this. Hey, Amazon, I'm being attacked. What are you guys doing on that side? Can anybody hear me? All the fun stuff that we like to write as sellers, because we're emotional, right? Like somebody's attacking my baby and I want somebody to respond to this. And when they don't, it becomes very frustrating. So what happens in that situation is that we usually, when we run the reviews, because we grab all the reviews and we run them through our software, it gives us a probability score. And what we're doing is we're going after the ones with the highest probability, like somebody who cusses in a review. It's easily just, we can go look at Amazon's terms of service. You can't custom reviews. We're cleaning up the platform. And then great, we would go to Amazon. The goal is we're going to start filing cases that we have a really, really high certainty of or probability of us removing. Amazon will get used to saying yes to us, and then they're going to start seeing that we're filing good cases, that we're no longer sending emotionally clouded messages and telling Amazon, what are you guys doing? This is ridiculous. This is how I feed my family. I'm not saying Amazon doesn't care about your family, but they don't care about your family. No, I'm just kidding. They do care about your family. But you get my point. Like it needs to be something where Amazon cares about data, right? That's what Amazon cares about. Hey, show us the reason why you're getting attacked. If you can give us that information, that will educate us on making the right decision. So that's what we do, right? We started off our cases the same way that everybody else did when we started doing this 5 years ago. Hey, this is ridiculous. This person's talking about a product that I don't even have. They're writing about something that's a fake picture. They use this picture in 6 different reviews. All these things that become frustrating, but I can guarantee if you're a seller and you're listening to this, everybody's just giving up on it. Because it's like, you know what? It's just a cost of doing business. There's nothing I can do about it. Hopefully people don't, start giving negative reviews to their competitors because that's what they're doing to them. It's turned into, in some categories, it turns into a very aggressive space. And, what we want to do is just clean that up. We want people to just be able to do good business again and not be attacked and, not be able to sleep at night because of fake reviews that are coming through.
Yeah.
I got a quick one. We're talking a lot about 1-star reviews. Is it worth going after 2- and 3-star reviews?
Yeah, so they are all weighted differently, right? So in regards to 1-star reviews, I've heard a number of different, theories on that. I've had people say that a 1-star equals as much as 5 stars up to 25 stars. So they're definitely a weighted average there, right? So that's what we have to look at is, when we talk about this, when we talk about removing critical reviews, 1, 2, and 3 stars, I always recommend that people obviously get more 4 and 5 stars, right? That's going to be what you want to do because you want to hit it from both sides. And the analogy I always use is it's like if you want to lose some weight, you go to the gym and eat right, you're going to lose weight faster. If you just go to the gym and don't eat right, which is kind of my method, right? So I'm only 50% there. Or the other side of it, hey, you just eat right, you don't go to the gym. Great, okay, then it is what it is. But you're not going to have success as fast, right? So for us, you will get the 4 and 5 stars to push your BSR up. We'll take care of the 1, 2s, and 3 stars. That's really the goal, is to be able to hit it from both sides so that you're going to be able to get pushed up in the BSR. Now, are the 2s and 3 stars as strong as the 1 stars? They're not. Is the 4 as strong as the 5 star? It's not. So what we do is we go after the critical reviews, the 1, 2, and 3 stars, because those ones are the ones that are affecting your account, right? If we can go after like 1 and 2 stars if they have enough critical reviews, and we have a minimum for critical reviews. There's a number of reasons it's 500 critical reviews over 1 ASIN or multiple ASINs. The reason why we have that minimum, there's a few reasons. One is, we kind of touched on it earlier, is if you filed tons of cases with Amazon and you've gotten low on the credibility score with Amazon's talking about stuff or not responding to you, then what we do in those situations is we need to have a pool of reviews. So at 500 reviews, if we have a 10% removal rate, then let's say 50 of those get removed. We start with the lowest hanging fruit. Once again, get Amazon used to saying yes, and then we can go over the ones that maybe have not quite the highest probability of getting removed. Maybe there's an 80% chance, right? But we want to go after that low hanging fruit first. So that 500 critical reviews, once again, on 1 ASIN or multiple ASINs, is really a starting point for us, because and also people that have that many negative reviews are usually going to be seasoned sellers as well, right? So they know their numbers. Because the thing for us is, I'm not just looking to remove reviews and not get somebody some traction. Like, traction is the key. That's what we want. Our clients are either proactive or reactive, right? Proactive means, hey, I want to stay at a 4.3. I'll do anything I need to do. Or, oh, shoot, I just jumped down to a 4.2. I just lost 20, 30% of my sales. I need to get back up. What can I do to be able to make that happen? So that's kind of what we look at. And once again, we evaluate it as like, hey, when we're removing these reviews, how quickly do you think you can get back up to that next point, right? Assuming that's what you're looking to do. Some people say, hey, I just want to clean up my account. I want to make sure that it's all good. I'm going to sell whatever that is, or I just want to have a clean account. That's awesome. Some people are a little more specific. Hey, this is our hero ASIN we just dropped, or I want to stay once again at that 4.3. I don't want to drop down. What do we need to do to stay consistent?
Interesting. Is there any, I don't know if this question makes any sense, but is there any seasonality to sellers receiving these nefarious fake reviews, these fake bad reviews? Because in my mind, like, there's going to be certain periods of time when sellers are getting more reviews, right? After the holidays, after Prime Day, after, these high peak selling seasons. But it would almost make sense in my head, and I don't know what this says about me, about a person, but for the folks who want to kind of damage sellers' accounts, to attack them prior to those selling days so that the seller has a lower ranking than the one writing the negative reviews. Is there any seasonality to this at all?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there's no direct seasonality. I mean, unfortunately, people can attack you at any time. I will tell you, historically, when we see it, obviously, as we're coming up on Prime Day, which is today. I don't know, people won't see this, or this will be a little later on. This was in the past when you listen to this, but it's still great information. What we see is when people start to sneak up on the BSR. Once you start sneaking up and getting in somebody else's playpen, that's when you start to see that people are going to start. I mean, there's teams that literally just watch for that, right? And what they do is they hire a virtual assistant, and they'll which is great for us because they get lazy. Here goes 20 negative reviews. Go ahead and use these 3 seller or buyers accounts and just go buy their product and give them that review. Well, the problem is if you're using the exact same reviews, Amazon maybe won't look at that, but for us, that's what we do. We go and find those anomalies where you're becoming lazy, right? Like, and usually that's not a problem. It's not a problem until we came along. So now that becomes a big issue. But usually it's if you're encroaching upon somebody, and even for us, we were in the supplement space back in the day. We weren't encroaching. We had like one hero ASIN making some good money, but we weren't making it so many of these kids weren't eating, right? Like, I mean, it was, and they started coming after us because once again, we probably started to push up in the BSR. They're watching these types of things. And unfortunately, from a karma standpoint and an ethics standpoint, it doesn't make sense, but from an ROI, it can, from like supplement space. I mean, you have very high profitability, heavy competition. If somebody buys 20 of my products and gives me 20 one-star reviews and pushes me down in the BSR, they push up in the BSR, whatever it costs them to do that, which would be, let's say it's a few $100 or even $1,000, they'll make that money back within hours of selling that supplement. So it doesn't, I say it makes sense, and it doesn't make sense and you shouldn't do it. Please don't do it. It's not the way, karma will come back to bite you in the behind. Be very careful. But unfortunately, people do it. And so that's the thing, is that when you encroach upon their land, or whatever that is, where they're selling, that's when we see a lot of it. And once again, some categories are more aggressive than others. When we have our 5%, removal rate, that 5% is for, like, we have a high-end brake company that we do work with. It's $500 brakes. Nobody's going to go buy 10 of those, send them to Australia, and go spend $5,000. That doesn't pencil out from an ROI perspective. Now, supplements, your creatine that costs $30, it's small, easy to sell, easy to ship, all that kind of stuff. Not really expensive. Unfortunately, that doesn't make sense. I say makes sense. None of this makes sense. But unfortunately, from an ROI perspective, that's what people are looking at. They're saying, hey, I can come and attack you. Nobody's going to stop me. And I'm going to push you down the BSR so I can go up in the BSR.
Yeah. So don't do the bad stuff, people.
Don't be bad humans. Don't be bad humans. Just be good humans. There really is enough money for everybody. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Just if you really feel like giving somebody bad reviews, go on a walk, or go talk to your family, or go to get a counselor. Get a counselor, just or go to volunteer. Volunteer at the local pet hospital. That's what I recommend.
Go volunteer. There's lots of volunteer options in your community. Just look them up.
Exactly.
Let's end this on a good note. Shane, I know you had said before, if I remember the number correctly, you got like 177 one-star reviews removed from that guy in a day. But can you give us like another quick success story that we can share of like how y'all did it, how it impacted the business, things like that?
Yeah, we have actually quite a few. We're working on a lot of those right now. We have a really big one that we had with Organicare, which was Emily and the team over there. And that's one of the testimonies that we have on the website at tracefuse.ai. Once again, it comes to a situation where most people come to us when something's happened, when they lost some traction. And most people didn't know that this was even possible to remove the reviews. So when they come to us, once again, usually skeptical until things start to happen. Organicare was skeptical, as everybody was in the beginning. Now it's awesome because certain people in groups have tried it, and now they're telling everybody in the groups, and we're getting an absolutely insane amount of leads right now. So shout out to everybody that's saying good things about the good things that we're doing. I do appreciate that. It doesn't go unrecognized. So, but yeah, so I think when it comes down to once again, to those reviews and being able to get those removed and what that looks like, the underlying thing here is that it's not easy to do. We're obviously here to help and making sure that things are done from a white hat perspective. And once again, we just want to make sure that people's accounts are good again. I guess it's kind of really the big goal.
Yeah. Awesome. We're going to take another quick break here from our sponsor. And then when we come back, want to hear a little bit more about where we can get in touch with TraceFuse. And then we have a special offer for you guys. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Today's episode is brought to you by GETIDA, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at GETIDA.com/Sellernomics.
All right, you guys. So in addition to the free $400 in FBA reimbursements you can get from GETIDA by going to GETIDA.com/Sellernomics, we also have a special offer from Shane and the TraceFuse team. So Shane, let us know where we can learn more about TraceFuse, where folks can get in touch, and then tell us a little bit more about this offer you've got for our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, congratulations on your guys' success. You guys are like the ultimate in getting money back for sellers. So shout out to you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job there. I mean, who doesn't want to get money back? Last time I checked, that's a pretty amazing thing. So that's awesome. But yeah, we actually do have an offer, and I know your guys' offer is $400, and we didn't offer $500 just to do more than you guys. I want to make sure that was clear too. We're in no competition here. You guys are doing your thing, we're doing ours. But yeah, you should. I mean, at the end of the day, do you want to get money back, and do you want to remove negative reviews and increase sales? Like, I have to imagine that those are two peas in a pod last time I checked. But yeah, we have a special deal for your audience. What we've done is we're going to do $500 off. So in other words, if you sign up, there's a link, and it's going to be just tracefuse.ai /Sellernomics, right? And what you can do is you can click on that, you can sign up, and anybody that signs up, you guys get $500 off, which would be 2 reviews that we would remove. And then you get that. And once again, you can sign up and you can come test the platform out and come see what we got. And once again, we're really, really looking forward to helping anybody. Anybody and everybody can reach out to us. I do demos, and we do demos for everybody. Even if you don't have 500 critical reviews, we can do an assessment, and I'm here to help in any way possible. If somebody doesn't use our service, my goal is just to clean up the platform and to really help sellers, because I know it's not easy. Things are constantly changing, and anything we can do to help on that side of the reviews, we're once again, we're open arms.
Excellent. Amazing.
Excellent.
And you guys, that website is Tracefuse, TRACEFUSE.ai. And Shane's email is just that, Shane@tracefuse.ai. And remember, get your $500 offer from them at tracefuse.ai/Sellernomics. So, Rob, pretty good deal, right?
This is a great deal. You know, I did want to just follow up with Shane a little bit on the pricing. Is it a per review? Is it a monthly subscription? Help everybody out just so they understand a little better.
Yeah, great question. So our thing is all performance driven. So there's no, kind of like how your guys' model is. We don't collect money up front. There's no retainer. There's no contract. We go and we file a case and it gets removed. We get paid $250. If we file a case and it doesn't get removed, then my kids don't eat. No, I'm just kidding. My kids are doing okay. Yeah, so at $250 is what we charge. Once again, only it's all performance driven. So if we file cases and don't get anything removed, we don't get paid. So yeah.
Sounds familiar. Very familiar model. So anybody who's obviously used to the GETIDA model of, you know, if we don't charge anything unless we get your money back, same sort of model. If they're not going to be able to remove that negative review, then they're not going to charge anything. But I assume, Shane, if that $500 offer sits until you get at least 2 removed, how's that work?
Yeah, we'll get that removed the first week. Yeah,
awesome.
we're so good at this. I mean, we're usually going to be, depending on the account and everything, we file at least 100 to 100 something cases. And so in that situation, at the 10% removal rate, we can be able to get at least 10 removed. But yeah, we've got the numbers down. Everybody will get removed. You know, we're not in the business of not removing reviews. So that first week, you're going to see some successes.
Love it.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Shane, so much for sharing this with us. Really, really excited about your service. And I know the sellers are really going to benefit from it. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. You guys stay awesome on your side. And you guys are absolutely doing amazing things. It's fun to watch.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for everybody who tuned in today. If you liked what you heard, be sure to give us a thumbs up, comment with your thoughts in the comments, share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the show, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sellernomics podcast. Special thanks to our sponsor, GETIDA. Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at GETIDA.com/Sellernomics. Be sure to join us again next week for more great tips on how to grow your business. And thanks again for listening.